Hello, everyone. My name is Jungle Jamie, and welcome to Hawk Mountain's Sanctuary Storytime. Today's program is Zoey Finds a Fawn, and I am so happy that you are here with us today. If you're happy too, then shake your tail feathers. At Hawk Mountain, we love nature. We love the birds, especially the raptors. We love the plants, the mountain. We love all wildlife because we know that all living things are connected. If you love nature too, then get up and move around like your favorite animal. Woo! Well, I am so glad that you are joining us today for our Sanctuary Storytime, Zoey Finds a Fawn. It's going to be so exciting. First, we are going to learn about how we as people can share nature with all the other creatures living and sharing this space with us. And especially, we're going to be talking about deer. And did you know that a baby deer is called a fawn? So first, we are going to learn about what things that all animals need to be happy, healthy, and safe to live. And then we are going to read a totally awesome book called Zoey Finds a Fawn. And the best part is that with us today, we have a very special guest who actually wrote the book, Zoey Finds a Fawn. And her name is Peggy Hentz. And not only did she write this book, she also drew all of the pictures or illustrations that are inside the book. So that means that Peggy is an author and an illustrator. Plus, Peggy also started a rescue and education center for wild animals called Red Creek Wildlife Center. So she is awesome, and she is definitely a wildlife hero. And we are so happy that Peggy is joining us today. Welcome, Peggy.
Hi, everybody. I am so glad to be here.
Yay! And we are so happy that you're here too. And also, just a reminder that today's program is being recorded. So kids, you can watch this program, this video, anytime you like on Hawk Mountain's YouTube channel. So let's talk about what all animals, what all creatures need to survive. So humans like you and me, there are 4 main things that we need to survive. And these 4 things that we need to survive are also the 4 things that all animals and even wild animals need to survive. Can you guess what those 4 things may be? Is anyone else hungry here? This apple. It's so yummy. Did you guess food? Well, you are right. And just remember, kids, don't talk with your mouth full like Jungle Jamie. So all living creatures, just like you and me, we need food to survive. What else? What are some of the other things? What do you think? Oh man, I am so thirsty. This water is so good. So maybe you guessed it. The second thing all living things need to survive is water. And it's always good when that water is clean. What else? What if it's cold outside or storming? What do you need to survive? You need a shelter. Maybe you take shelter in your house or a tent or someplace like that. So other animals besides humans, they need shelter too. And their shelter may look different than a person's shelter, but they still need shelter. Now, the 4th thing that all living things need to survive is a little bit trickier to guess. Well, it is actually space. We all need space to live in, space to move around, and space to just live and be. So just remember those 4 things: food, water, shelter, and space is what we need to survive. It's also what all the wild animals that share this planet with us need to survive. So we have to try to remember as people that we can do the best that we can to share all the resources of the planet with the wild animals too, so that the wild animals have enough food, water, space, and shelter to live with too. So today we are going to learn about the importance of respecting wildlife with Peggy Hentz, who has been studying and rescuing animals for a long time. And sometimes the best thing that we can do to help a wild animal is simply to let it alone, to let it be. So we're going to learn more about what we can do to help wild animals, especially deer, with Peggy.
Okay, I have with me the book, Zoey Finds a Fawn, and it's written in Dr. Seuss style in poetry, and there's illustrations in the book, and we can start that. Okay. Zoey spends her summers at her Nana's farm. Her grandparents have chickens and horses in the barn. She loves to feed the horses their morning oats and hay and help to gather breakfast eggs that the chickens lay. Early one June morning, as she was helping at the farm, she was walking near the garden headed toward the barn. Zoey almost tripped and fell over a tiny spotted fawn. She almost didn't see it lying on the lawn. Zoey gasped and held her breath, holding back her thrill. She didn't want to scare it and stopped and stood real still. The fawn looked at Zoey with brown eyes big and round, then slowly laid its head down, scrunching closer to the ground. Zoey moved a little closer and whispered, not to fright, "Hi there, little baby dear. Is everything all right? Why are you all alone? Is something wrong? Are you lost? Are you hurt? Did you lose your mom?" She slowly knelt beside the deer and gently stroked its head. It didn't bite or kick or run. It just scrunched down further instead. She didn't want to leave it, but she knew she had to tell her grandparents about the deer and get the fawn some help. She ran back to the farmhouse, yelling loud and clear, "Nana, Grandpa, come real quick. You have to help a deer." She led them to the garden to see the hidden fawn. "It won't get up," she told them. "I know that something's wrong." Nana whispered, "Well, I'll be. It is a baby deer. We must be very careful. The mother's somewhere near." "But Nana, the mother deer is nowhere to be found. Since I found the baby fawn, she hasn't been around." Grandpa took Zoey's hand, which meant it's time to talk. They walked into the garden and sat down on a rock. Grandpa was very wise, never blamed or finding fault. He always talked with Zoey like she was an adult. Some animal mothers raise their babies in a nest. For baby birds and bunnies, a nest is what works best. Some mothers, like opossums, have a pouch for them to hide until they're old enough to hold on for a ride. But baby deer are different. They have no nest or den. They must lie very still so that they blend in. Another good protection that makes it hard to tell that a fawn is nearby hiding, they don't put off a smell. The mother deer did not abandon her precious baby fawn. She visits it at night and at dusk and dawn. When the fawn is stronger and has had time to grow, it will start to wander and follow Mommy Doe. "But Grandpa, can you tell me," Zoey asked with tearful eyes, "are you absolutely sure that this fawn's all right?" "I'll tell you what we'll do to set your mind at rest. We'll quickly check it over and look for any distress." He checked for cuts and scratches on its body and its legs, and checked beneath the fluffy tail for maggots and their eggs. Its ears were straight and not curled back. Its eyes were wide and bright. There were no signs of problems. Yes, this fawn was right. I know it's hard to do, but you must stay away. Zoey, if you interfere, you might make it tame. And when a deer gets friendly, it threatens its very life. What a baby deer needs most is its wildness to survive. While they were talking, everyone failed to see that Mommy Doe was watching from the nearby trees. Later on that evening, through the kitchen window glass, Zoey saw a big brown deer sneaking through the grass. It took a step, then looked around, head and ears held high. It looked alert, making sure no danger was nearby. When all looked safe, the mother doe walked by the garden wall. One more time she looked around, then sounded a bleating call. Zoey smiled and noticed she had goosebumps on her arms. She was worried that her actions had caused the baby harm. The fawn jumped up and ran to her and recognized its mom. Suddenly she noticed there was another one. The fawn she found had a twin hidden in the weeds. It too had stayed real still and had remained unseen. The mother doe nursed the fawns and cleaned them up just right. Then the fawns laid down again, hugging the ground real tight. The mother deer snuck away, disappearing to the trees. And Zoey knew just what to do. She'd leave the family be.
Peggy, that was amazing. I loved hearing you read that story. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. And I want to ask you, have you written any other books?
I have. We have another children's book called, it's our first one, called Zoey Finds a Bunny Nest. And it's written in the same style. And we also, our very, very first book we ever wrote was actually for adults. It's called Rescuing Wildlife. We have our second edition out. And it talks people through what to do if you find injured animals, and it's specific to Pennsylvania.
That is so awesome. So if people want to purchase your books, how can they do that?
On Amazon and on Kindle, they're available. And what's really cool about the children's books is in the back, there's a section for parents that talk you through what to do with the Zoey Finds a Bunny Nest, what to do if you find a bunny nest. Zoey Finds a Fawn has a section in the back, what to do if you find a fawn.
Awesome. What a great way to teach people about how they can make a positive difference for the wild animals that they share space with in their lives. So thank you, Peggy, so much. That was awesome. And now we're going to talk more about deer, which are called the white-tailed deer, which are the state mammal of Pennsylvania. And what does it mean to be a mammal? Well, mammals are animals that have hair or fur covering their bodies. So are we mammals? Yes, we are. Are deer mammals? They sure are. Deer have hair, absolutely. Also, mammals have live babies. Most of the time, the mothers give birth to a live baby. And also, the mothers feed their babies milk, and the mother's body actually makes milk to feed their babies. So that's something that mammals do as well. And also, mammals are warm-blooded, and that just means that when you're warm-blooded, that means that your body can make heat to keep you warm. So that's what it means to be a mammal. So I am going to share my screen. Okay, so I wonder if anyone watching today has seen a white-tailed deer, maybe in your backyard, maybe in your neighborhood, maybe when you're on a drive. Have you? I bet some people out there have. I see them all the time where I live. And I want to share a little video that I took when I was out hiking earlier in the year, in the spring, and I ran into a group of deer, a herd of deer. And so I took a video and I want to share it with you. And there's some maybe big science words in the video, so that's okay if you don't understand all those words. I just thought it would be really cool to share this video. Hi, this is Jamie from Hawk Mountain Sanctuary. I'm on my evening walk and I see three white-tailed deer, which just happen to be the state mammal of Pennsylvania. And they seem to be walking through this field, eating a bit. As you may know, deer are ruminants, meaning they have a chambered stomachs, which helps them digest and kind of ferment some low quality food to get more nutrients out of it. And deer can greatly impact the vegetative ecology of a region with their munching. And look, there we have a human, a little human. It's my daughter. Another characteristic of deer are that they are actually crepuscular. And crepuscular simply means that they are most active during dawn and dusk. And here they are as the sun is getting ready to set on this evening. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed seeing that video. And so did you know what a girl or a female or a mother deer is called? It has a special name. It's called a doe. Have you ever heard of the song, Doe, a deer, a female deer? Well, that's how you can remember. A doe is a female deer or a girl deer. Do you know what a male deer or a boy deer or a father deer is called? It starts with a B. It's called a buck. The male deer is called a buck. And if there's a very, very large buck, it's called a stag. And male deer have antlers, but we're going to talk more about that later. So let's see what the next slide is. Okay, so sometimes when we look at an animal, we can look at where the eyes are placed on their head to try to figure out if that animal is a hunter that hunts and eats other animals, or if that animal is a prey animal or an animal that maybe most likely just eats plants, which we call an herbivore or a vegetarian. So I have a little saying, like a little rhyme that I say to myself to help me remember how I can look at an animal and see where their eyes are to try to help me figure out if that animal is a predator, a hunter, or a prey, which means it's going to be dinner for another creature. And it goes like this. Eyes on the side, made to hide. Eyes on the front, made to hunt. So if an animal, a prey animal, has eyes on the side, made to hide. So if your eyes are on the side of your head and not in front, that means that you can see all around you all at one time. And if you're an animal that has to worry about being eaten by another animal, that's going to help you survive because you can have this big view all around you with your eyes on the side and always be on the lookout for danger or a predator. So eyes on the side, made to hide. And that is often the animals, the prey animals that are often the plant eaters. And eyes on the side, made to hide. Eyes on the front, made to hunt. The hunting animals have eyes on the front of their head, and that really helps them focus. It gives them binocular vision, and that's very helpful for animals that are hunting and have to move and catch other animals to eat. That helps them do that. So let's look at these pictures of the deer. Do you think that the deer's eyes are on the side of the head, or do you think they're more on the front? What do you think? Well, to me, it looks like their eyes are on the side. So that means that deer are, they're plant eaters. They're eating a lot of grasses and plants, leaves, whatever vegetation they can find. But they can be prey animals, and so they have to always be on the lookout for another creature that could be hunting them, like maybe a coyote or a wolf or humans. A lot of humans hunt deer. So we had talked a little bit earlier when we learned that a buck is the special word for a male or a boy deer. We said that they have antlers. Horns and antlers. Are they the same? Are they different? What do you think? Let's talk about it. So on the left here, we have a picture of a goat, and goats have horns as an example. Some cows have horns, cattle, rams, things like that. So, and on the right, we have a picture of a deer, and deer have antlers. So the two are different. And here are some differences. Okay, so there's a difference in what they're made of. So for the antlers are actually an extension of the skull of the deer. It's made of bone. It's an extension of the skull. Whereas for horns, they do have like a little bit of a bony core, but they're really covered in keratin. And keratin is the same stuff that our fingernails are made out of, that our hair is made out of. So that's one difference. Another difference is that for deer species that have antlers, only the males have them, except reindeer. I've been told that girl reindeer also have antlers. Oh my goodness. But other than that, for all the different deer type of species, the males have antlers and the females don't. But for animals that have horns, for most of them, both the girls and the boys, the males and females, will have the horns. And the horns are part of their body. They never fall off. They're always part of them. But antlers, it's a different story. The males shed the antlers every year, normally in the winter, maybe around January or February, and then they regrow a newer set, maybe a bigger set as they get older, of antlers the next spring. And what do they use these antlers for? What do you think? Well, only the boys or the males have them. You know what? I heard that they use their antlers to try to impress the ladies when they're mating. They use the antlers to help find a female or a girl to have a family with and have babies. And what about for the horns, for an animal like a goat that has horns? What do the horns do? How does it help them? Well, the horns can help them protect themselves from a predator. It can help them defend their territory where they live. And also it can help them in social situations, because oftentimes animals like goats live in groups. It can help them kind of keep in line, who's in charge? I'm in charge. I'm the leader of this group, and I'm going to use my horns as a weapon to show you. So those are just some differences. Okay, and I have something to share with everyone that is really exciting. I have here some real antlers. Oh my goodness, because we talked about how every year the male deer will shed their antlers in the winter, and you might find them when you're out hiking, or you might see them. And wow, I have so many of them. They are really interesting. And remember, we learned, and they're different sizes. When it's a younger one, maybe it's smaller, and as the male deer gets bigger, the antlers get bigger, and they're often branched out. And that's another difference between horns. Horns often aren't branched out like that. So it is made of bone. And so guess what? Bones can have nutrients in them. They can have calcium in them. And guess what? When other critters find these antlers that have been shed, they like to chew on them. Like a little critter, like maybe a rodent, a mouse, or a squirrel, they're going to chew on them like, and maybe that can help them by getting some calcium. Pretty cool. So when you're out hiking, keep your eyes peeled for any antlers, any sign that there's some deer in your neighborhood. Okay, so who remembers what a baby deer is called? It's called a fawn. And we know that a male deer is called a buck. So another thing I want to talk about is that deer are built to survive. They're survivors, and they have a lot of special adaptations to help them survive. And boy, adaptation is a big word. It just means something about that animal that helps it survive where it lives in its habitat. And we know that deer can be prey animals, eyes on the side, made to hide. So they have to always be on the lookout for predators. So let's talk about how deer are survivors. Well, number one, let's talk about the fawn. And we learned when we were reading with Peggy, Zoey Finds a Fawn, that the baby fawns like to blend in. So they hide from their predators. And do you think the color of their hair helps them do that? Absolutely. This is going to help them blend in or camouflage. But the fawns have these white spots on them. The adults don't have it. The spots go away when they grow up. Do you think those white spots help the fawn blend in? Let's say if it's laying very still on a forest floor. Yes, it can. It can actually, those white spots can actually look like spots of sunlight coming down through the leaves in the forest, and the little dapples of sunlight and spots of sunlight on the forest floor. So that's why the fawns have the white spots. And even though the adult deers don't have the white spots, do you think the color of the fur for adults or the hair helps them camouflage? Yes, absolutely. And their hair can also help them in other ways. It can help keep them warm. And when it's cold in the winter, the deer actually grow longer, thicker hair that helps keep them warm. And it also becomes a little bit hollow, so it traps air inside to help insulate them like a jacket and help keep them warm. What else can help them survive? Their ears. Deer have really big ears, and maybe you've seen a deer with the ears straight up. Those big ears help them listen. They're always listening for a sound of a danger. And what else can help them find danger? Do you smell danger? Well, deer have an excellent sense of smell. They have a very strong nose. And from a far distance, they can smell if another animal is approaching. And that can help protect them if that's a dangerous animal. So that helps them survive. And if they sense danger, if they hear danger or smell danger or see danger, how do they communicate that with maybe other deer in their herd, which is a group of deer that they may live with? Well, they communicate in a variety of different ways, just like we communicate. They may stomp one of their feet on the ground. They might stomp it. That's a signal, and it can tell the other deer, okay, we gotta go, danger. And also they can raise their tail. And this is why they're called white-tailed deers, because when they raise their tail, it's white underneath. So if there's danger, they raise their tail, and that's like a signal, danger. And it signals all the deer to kind of run off. So a deer's ability to run is another thing that helps them survive. Did you know that deer are very, very fast? Oh man, they are. They can run 30 to 40 miles an hour, and that is pretty fast. That's amazing. And they have these built-in shoes. They don't have to put on their running sneakers. They have these built-in shoes, which we call hooves, which are hard, and they help them run very fast. And not only that, did you know that deer are amazing jumpers? Like, it's amazing. They can jump 9 feet in the air, 9 feet tall, and they could jump 25 feet long. That is amazing. And again, their hooves help them do this and help them land safely. So that's amazing. Their hooves actually help them climb really steep hills too. So they have so many things that help them survive. And I'm sure for the males, the antlers can help them survive too. Also, another thing about their feet, the hooves can also be a weapon. So an adult deer can kick. If a predator comes or a danger comes, they could kick you with their leg and their hoof, and they could really protect themselves by kicking. So that's another way that they are survivors. So wow, a lot of respect for deer. They're amazing, our state mammal of Pennsylvania. And there's one more thing I'd like to share. You know that at Sanctuary Storytime, we love to get crafty. We love to celebrate nature and animals and the wildlife we talk about and learn about with a craft that you can do maybe after this program if you want. And we remember fawns, right? We love fawns, and we love reading Peggy's book, Zoey Finds a Fawn. So let's talk about a fawn craft. Dun, da, da, da. My friend, Ridgetop Rachel, made this fawn, and she wanted me to share it with you. Look, it's so fun. You can do this at your house. All you need is a piece of paper. It could be a colored paper brown like this one, or it could be a white paper and you could color in the fawn. You could do whatever you want. So first you want to draw the fawn. You could use a crown, you could use a marker. And so remember all the different things we talked about that deer have to help them survive. We can include that in the drawing. We remember that they have eyes on the side made to hide. So we have the big eyes on the side so they can look all around to see predators. We know that deer have big ears because they're always listening for danger. We know that they have a nice strong nose because they're smelling for danger. We know that fawns, when they're very young, they're often laying down on the ground very still, very quiet. They don't have a scent, and they want to be hidden or camouflaged from predators. And we also know that fawns have white spots to help them blend in with the sunlight coming down through the trees. So what did we use to make these white spots? Cotton balls. Yes, you can take cotton balls and you could put big spots, you could glue it on, or you could have fun pulling it apart and make smaller bits. And woo, you can just glue them or tape them on to make the spots for your fawn. So I hope that you have fun later today making this fawn craft, and I hope that you respect wildlife and do your part to share all the resources we have with our wild animals. I hope that you read more of the books that Peggy has. They're awesome. And I hope when you're outside, you keep your eyes peeled for any wildlife you might see. And maybe, just maybe, you might even see a white-tailed deer, the state mammal of Pennsylvania. So thank you so much for joining us today. To our audience, we love having you join us for Storytime. A huge thank you to Peggy Hentz. She does amazing work helping all wildlife, and she's a wonderful author and illustrator as well. So thank you so much, Peggy, for joining us today and sharing your book. Our next Sanctuary Storytime is on Thursday, July 9th at 11 o'clock a.m. And we are going to read the book, A Color of His Own, which is about a chameleon. And I heard a rumor that a real live chameleon may be joining us for that program. So you don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it. And just remember, we have our Sanctuary Storytimes on the 2nd and 4th Thursday of every month throughout the summer at 11 o'clock a.m. So thank you so much. Have a great day and get outside and enjoy nature. We hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.